What is up, and welcome back to the Talk Nutrition Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about fitness trackers and, unfortunately, how inaccurate they can be when it comes to calories burned. Now, let me say this right off the bat. I'm not here to bash all fitness trackers. I've used Whoop for ages. I will say I recently stopped using it after maybe like 5 years or so, on and off. But for now, I'm just going to keep it simple, to be honest with you, without getting into this too much. I just want to focus on the actions, right? So I've used the data. I know what works for me. I've tracked that a whole lot with Whoop, and maybe we can talk about that today as well. But right now, I am going to focus more on the actual actions of doing the things I know that are better for my sleep, right? Or will make it better. Consist. What is up, and welcome back to Talk Nutrition. Today, we are going to talk about fitness trackers and how inaccurate they actually are, unfortunately. Now, let me say this right off the bat. I'm not here to bash fitness trackers. I've used Whoop for maybe 5-6 years or something. Ages. Loved it for sleep. Unfortunately, doesn't have a step tracker, so that's one of those where I was like, that's kind of a bummer. But, and you'll see today, steps is one of the main things you want to use your tracker for. But long story short, we're going to talk about the research, first of all, because as much as we might be attached to our brand new expensive Garmin or whatever it is, and those are all great, by the way, they're fine, right? Whoops, Aura rings, any device, Fitbit, Apple, whatever. Unfortunately, you cannot rely on them when it comes to calories burned. We're going to talk about the things it can be good at and how you can use it. But again, my main point here being calories burned, you will not know, and that is okay. I'm going to show you how to do without, because you don't even need to worry about the number, which is the good news, right? So again, not bashing it, but I wanted to let you know right off the bat, hey, pay attention, because this might come as a surprise. And hey, if you're someone who looks at, hey, how many calories did you burn? And maybe you're even putting it in your tracking app for your food, right? And it's spitting out kind of hey, a minus 200, minus 500, whatever. And you're under the impression that you can keep, eating more because you moved more. And maybe that's your way of achieving maintenance or, a surplus or fat loss, right? Usually that backfires and it's not really accurate, because something you might not know, same kind of thing here. When you set your targets, right, based on your TDEE, and we can do a podcast about that too, those targets should include movement already. That's what that's based on. You plug in the data, it'll show you your expected maintenance calories, your movement. Hey, how often do you train? You'll get a good estimate, but that includes that movement already. So you don't want to double that up. Now, let's go back a little, because I wanted to just give you a little overview of what's to come today. So first of all, we're going to talk about the research. Then we will look into calories burned and how kind of paying attention to it too much can work against you and keep you from losing weight, keep you from really being in control of your energy balance, which at the end of the day is the most important thing when it comes to creating results. How to use your tracker the right way, because there's definitely a time and place for them. Managing energy balance the right way, right, without tracking calories burned. That's going to be an interesting one if you have been doing that for a little while. And then the benefits of using a fitness tracker, because I will say there's definitely some, and I do think that you should keep using yours for the right reasons. Now, before we get into the episode, please do me a massive, tiny but massive favor. Drop us a quick 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, because here's the thing, guys. We do this without ads, no sponsors, and we're not planning on doing that either. You'll see no Athletic Greens here, or which is fucking everywhere now. Nothing against them, by the way. It's just one of those examples. You'll see no ads. To be honest with you, anytime I listen to a podcast and it starts with 5 minutes of ads, I'm like, fuck, never mind. So we are not going to do that. I promise you. So that being said, we do this for free. We do this simply to help you and maybe reach more people, right? So help us reach more people. Help us help more people by dropping a quick 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify. You can also subscribe on YouTube. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. Now, the research, I think it's important to look at more than one study, because as much as I also do have posts on Instagram where it's actually one study, I try to pick one that usually has a bunch of data, or includes a bunch of different studies. What I wanted to do here for this episode is look at 4 different ones. Is this 4? 1, 2, 3. Let me see real quick. Yeah. Kind of like 4. And to be honest with you, the 4th one is literally just to kind of like prove that point. But we'll run through them. And what I can do for you as well is provide you with the PubMed IDs in the show notes. So if you are someone who likes to look into that stuff, be my guest. I'll provide that in the links. Now, a 2016 study looked at the accuracy of the Apple Watch, Fitbit Charge HR, Samsung Gear S, and the Myo Alpha, which I'm actually not even familiar with, to measure heart rate, energy expenditure, and guess what? Right? They all 4, so all those brands, right, measured heart rate with a small error rate of like 1 to 9%. So actually, heart rate, that's pretty good. Like 1 to 9%. That's really, really, really solid. You can use that data, I'd say. However, energy expenditure turned out to be like 9 up to 43% off. And a lot of times, right, that's overestimated. And that's a problem. So imagine that, like 43%, like that's a lot. Now, of course, that's 2016. So I wanted to use some more recent studies here as well, because you can imagine, I mean, by the time a study is actually published, there's like already like a whole like generations of new devices. So you can imagine there's a little bit of a delay there almost. But in 2020, there was a systematic review that kind of like looks at, right, a bunch of data, including wearables from Apple, Empatica, don't know that one, Fitbit, Garmin, Jawbone, Myo, Misfit, Polar, Samsung, Under Armour, Withings, and Xiaomi. So that's a big list, right? And guess what? Although there was a difference between brands, heart rate and step count turned out to be pretty accurate. So, some might be better at steps, some might be better at heart rate. Just generally speaking, those were all actually solid, like actually accurate. So again, steps, yes, use it. Heart rate, hey, if you do some zone training for your cardio, great, use your heart rate. Absolutely. However, here also, that wasn't the case for energy expenditure. Once again, highly inaccurate. Continuing to a 2022 study. And I think, I would have to double check. I think, was it this one or the next one? I think this one. I saw that it might have even been updated to like a 2023, or maybe that was a journal, but you'll be able to see that in the link. But I remember using this from a post, a little while ago, so that's why. So that being said, right, a more recent study looked at more recent wearables, like the newer ones, right? Apple Watch 6, Polar Vantage V or 5, Fitbit Sense. So, newer devices. And also there, they did find it at heart rate. And Apple Watch was actually the most accurate one when it comes to measuring heart rate. None of them did very well at energy expenditure, so calories burned. That was an average of 15 to 25% incorrect. So that's actually still a big difference. I would say it's better, right? And we want to remember that too. Like, yes, they're likely getting better over time, but it's really difficult, if not impossible. It's actually impossible to figure out how many calories you burn outside of a lab setting, like, accurately, right? The good news, once again, you don't have to know the number, but just so you know, these are like studies and some are in like lab settings, and they can really look at that and then find out, right? Hey, okay, how much is someone actually burning? Okay, what does the fitness tracker say? But a 25% error, like still, like with relatively newer devices, that's a little bit of an issue. And then there was a 2022 systematic review, came to the same conclusion once again. You see that even like the newer devices cannot be trusted when it comes to like calories burned. Like, we just can't use it. And here's how that can work against you when it comes to, like, let's say a weight loss goal. I mean, this is going to go for your maintenance, for your surplus, but let's talk weight loss, because I know that most of you guys doing this, right? Doing cardio to burn calories and, etc. do that with that goal of like losing weight. So I do want to clear this up. But you can imagine too, like, hey, this is going to happen at maintenance. This is going to happen in a surplus. So make sure to not like work against you and your goal. And of course, I'm not saying that, you're doing this on purpose, because you're not. Obviously, you're doing your best and you're working hard. But no one told you this stuff, and the trackers and the apps, I definitely don't, or the fitness machines at the gym. So imagine you have, or a person has a 2600 maintenance, calorie range ish, right? We know it's not one number, but let's say 2600. Oh, so that means that if you were to go into a fat loss phase, you probably start around maybe like a 21 ish on the lower end, but still. And we're just using these numbers as examples, guys. I don't really want you to run with this stuff, but 2600, okay, that would be maintenance. 2100 would be then, like, let's imagine that's, fat loss. That would be 20% reduction. That's usually what we do with our clients. Now, if you have a 10, 20, 30% inaccuracy on your fitness tracker who says, hey, this is how many calories you burn, that might just put you back at maintenance or even a slight surplus. So, and oh, by the way, like, this would even become worse if you then also decide to eat back those calories, because you don't want to be doing that. Again, when we're setting targets initially, and this is how we avoid this stuff, right? With our clients, like, we always start with a phase where we start tracking, we start learning, right? I want to see, hey, how do you respond at maintenance? And hey, if we do not actually work up to maintenance, which with some people we don't, because they're already responding, okay, hey, then in that case, we still know roughly where it is. Because here's the thing. Let's imagine we start, and let's imagine we would calculate your maintenance calories to be 2600. And hey, let's imagine that you are at 2100 calories for a few weeks and you are losing weight, and that is your goal. Okay, great. As long as you get consistent and you're good with tracking and you're making your food choices, and cool, like, let's ride that out, But let's say you haven't done that, you don't know where your maintenance is, and now you're going off a calculation and a tracker that's telling you, hey, this is how many calories, right? Like, it's just not a great idea, especially when you don't know that you should not be adding those calories, right? Which, it makes sense if you open an app and you've never used that before, and it shows like minus 500 from like a 10-minute walk, right? Minus 500 calories. Okay, now I get to eat 500 calories. Like, no, that's not how it works. Plus, you're not even burning that many calories. And we'll be doing a more in-depth episode about this. But remember, and this has been a while, so I know there's a lot of new listeners. Maybe you haven't listened to this episode yet, but we talked about calories burned. Like, there's 4 factors when it comes to your TDEE, so your total daily energy expenditure. And that includes exercise, non-exercise activities, so like walking, talking, digestion, and then your resting metabolic rate. Resting metabolic rate is like 70%. Neat, so your non-exercise activity, like your general movement, 15%. That's every movement, that doesn't include, or every kind of movement, that's not exercise. 10% is digestion, and then only 5% is exercise. So that's also one of those reasons why we don't look at that number anyway, because you don't exercise for fat loss. Is it going to count? Yes. Is it the main goal? Hell no. We supplement maybe, or we support your fat loss phase through steps. We support your health through steps. And hey, even during a bulk, right, a lean gaining phase, we want to still be in control of your steps and know where you're at so that we can make the right adjustments. Because it's all about managing that energy balance, whether you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, or even just maintain or perform well. Now, remember, right, that breakdown, exercise being like 5% on average, is really not that much. So let's, first of all, not worry about calories burned, because we don't know how much it is anyway. And then second, if your goal is to lose weight and exercise makes so little of a difference, okay, well then let's maybe not use it for that reason. fat loss is a nutrition job. It's optimized through hitting your steps and then training, absolutely, but for the right reasons. To build muscle, to hold on to muscle, to make sure that, hey, you do some cardio to build your cardiovascular health, your capacity, right? And that's going to play into weightlifting again, better results, and etc. For the right reasons, once again, yes, we should be exercising 100%. And you should be doing some cardio, 100%. But the fat loss stuff, that is nutrition. Creating a calorie surplus for muscle gain, that is a nutrition thing. Maintenance, nutrition, like everything is nutrition, guys. The training is there for a different reason, not to manage energy balance. And that being said, and we call this system meals and metrics in our coaching company. It's part of our approach. It's one of the systems that we heavily rely on, your meals and metrics. Now, your meals, we're going to be tracking your food. We're not going to talk about macros and stuff today. But remember, hey, calories are king. When you track your macros, you automatically manage your calories, right? Because you get 4 calories per gram from protein and carbs, 9 calories per gram from your fats, and then 7 calories per gram from alcohol. Now, that being said, when you measure or manage, both, your macros, and hey, if you do drink some alcohol, track it too, because it's high in calories. And that should be a whole different episode. But when you do that, you know what's coming in. Also there, it's not 100% accurate, and that's okay. As long as you have a consistent measure. If you track and you're consistently, like, let's say your tracker says 2,600, right? And you, like, that's the number you hit on your tracker. Hey, maybe there are some inaccuracies and maybe you're actually hitting 2,500, 2,450, 2,720, I don't know. It could be inaccurate, it usually is, and that's okay. But as long as you have a consistent measure there, you can start to use that. Because when you have a grip on what's coming in, we can now control the calories inside of the equation from energy balance, right? So that's one part. Now we do not know calories out. So the calories in, calories out equation, obviously, without that calories out, like it's difficult to then say, okay, well, what's the difference then? But here's the cool thing. Remember, so, and for the people watching where I'm trying to picture this, but it's like calories in, calories out, and guess what? That leads to your weight going up, down, or roughly staying the same. So we're going to connect the dots here, right? That being said, if you track your meals, right, it's called meals and metrics, and you track your metrics, we can see if you're in a surplus, a deficit, or at maintenance. But that's not just weight. That's weight, measurements, and photos. This is super important. With your weight, it's going to fluctuate a whole ton. And we're going to talk about this in the next episode. It's going to fluctuate a lot. So much so that it might just, freak you out when you get on that scale and your weight's 5 pounds up. 2-3 kilos, whatever. And that's on the high end. Maybe like a kilo, half a kilo, right? 1 to 3 pounds or something. It's pretty common. And that could happen any given day. That goes for your weight loss phases, weight gain phases, maintenance phases. It's always up and down. It's always like, what's that? Like those measuring machines, like for like earthquakes and stuff. Like that's what it looks like, That is why our clients track their weight every single day, or at least 3 times a week, because we track the average so that we can track their trends. And hey, if there is a trend up or trend down, and I'm talking like multiple weeks, right? Not just a few days, like a trend of multiple weeks, or it's roughly staying the same, we can then see how your body's responding. That is how you manage this stuff. You're still going to be able to manage calories in and calories out, but without the calories out, right? Energy balance is still being managed because you're looking at what's coming in, you're looking at how your body's responding, and you make adjustments accordingly. And I will say this, you want to keep your steps in check. I like to keep people around 10K for a fat loss phase, maybe 8 to 10 for like maintenance, right? Be a little bit more flexible. Even just on the lower, like I would even just say 8 if we can for like a lean gaining phase. 10 is fine still, like you're still going to get the health benefits, but it's all about managing it, keeping it relatively stable so that we can make those changes when we need to. So that's how we manage that. Now, going back to your tracker, should you keep using it? I think so. Like, I think you should. I haven't used Whoop for, it's only been like a week now. And I've gone in and out of it for like 6+ years, I think. I want to say, was this 2000? No, hang on. This is like a long time already. I can't even remember. It was definitely 5, definitely 6, I want to say. Yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. Long time. And what I really like, without, I'm not affiliate with them or anything, like without like promoting them too much, what I really like is that you can start tracking the things that you do. So there's like the sleep journal. You can look at, hey, did you take your magnesium? Did you, I don't know, like, did you shower? Did you, have blue light blockers on, those kind of things, a sleep mask. And there's like anything from like sex to were there any pets in the room to like, like anything. And you can start to track these kind of things, and then over time, because obviously you don't get it perfect every single time, right? There's going to be days where you have your magnesium, other days you don't. But the cool thing is it gives you this report and you see like on paper, hey, based on the data, and this is the cool thing, guys. And I think, like, as far as I know, like, I think only Whoop does it this way. But the cool thing here is that you have data, not just like based on a study or whatever blog you read or whatever. Like, no, it's based on you. And you get to do your own little mini research, which is really fucking cool. Because at the end of the day, even with research, it's based on averages. And you might be on either end of the extreme of that bell curve, right? So you could be low or high in like whatever is being measured. So what the cool thing is here is that you get to see how your body responds, how you respond to magnesium, how you respond to different doses of magnesium, for example, right? When you had your last meal, XYZ, there's so many things you can track, and it's really cool. And if you allow yourself, and if you give the app some time to collect that data, you can start to use that to make your decisions. That's also why I kind of just stopped using it now. I've used it so much. I know what I should be doing. And here's the thing, guys. I went back to the habit tracker that we talk about a lot, and we have it for free on our website. And I'm just ticking the boxes. I'm just aiming for, my book in bed by a certain time. I want to make sure that it, have my last meal before 9 usually. Latest, right? I try 8. Kind of depends on the day. I try to, right, not drink too much water in the evening. There's like so many things, but I kind of know what to do. And I noticed, and this is a slippery slope when it comes to data. Use the data, but remember that the data is not the measure of success. It's the outcome. The measure of success is you doing the thing. And what I like is one of the later functions of Whoop. It's the sleep consistency percentage. And that was a really, really cool one. And based on their users, it showed that, like, what's the number again? I want to say it was like 70 or 80% of Whoop users had like a really poor like sleep consistency. I forgot what it was, but it was always a super high number. And unfortunately, that is like one of the worst things for sleep. And that is also one of the easiest things you can do to improve your sleep, both quantity-wise and quality, is going to bed and waking up at the same time. But without getting into sleep that much, that's why I like to Whoop. Always been a little bummed that they never added a step tracker, which, in my opinion, like that should be in there, right? But hey, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. Maybe it would have made the Whoop like too big or whatever it is. Hey, maybe they'll add it in the future, and you know what? I might even get it then. But again, like I've gone in and out of like Whoop, I think like 4 times now, 3 maybe, I don't know. Now, that being said, the next one, steps. I mean, we just in September we did a step challenge and we talked about this a whole lot, but that is probably the thing you want to be tracking out of all of them. Like if there's one, it should be steps. You want to keep your steps up. You want to keep it around 10K. And if you want to learn more about that, go back a couple episodes. I don't even know when that was. And let me try to scroll as we're talking about this stuff, because it is a very important topic to talk about. So that being said, right, steps, super key, hit just about 10K. And I mean, the range is like 8 to 12, where you get like the most health benefits. More is not necessarily needed, but it could be an idea to be on the higher end, especially if it's, for fat loss. And excuse me while I'm just looking up there we go. So it's episode 70, NEAT, the secret weapon to all things health and fitness. So episode 70, if you want to check that out, go there. Obviously, I'm talking about the step challenge there. Just ignore that part. But we're going to talk about NEAT. We talked about a study, actually 2 studies, I think it was, and the challenge. But it's cool to see how big of a difference that can make for your health. Now, HRV, resting heart rate, also great measures to use. I think the resting heart rate is a very helpful one, because like once you start tracking your resting heart rate and you see it go down and you're doing like your cardio, for example, or maybe losing some weight, and you'll see that improve, and you know like you're heading the right direction in terms of like heart health. And then heart rate, once again, like that was one of the more accurate measures, and especially now, like I feel like zone 2 training is becoming more popular, and it's amazing for your health. Absolutely want to be doing it. And well, that being said, if you're trying to train a specific or in a specific heart rate zone, probably a good idea to have something that tracks your heart rate zone, because the machine at the gym like has no idea, right? So like I said before, I'll be linking these studies here, but I hope this gave you a little bit of insight on fitness trackers, and why unfortunately with calories burned, it's the tracker has no idea, and that's okay. You don't live in a lab. Exercise is not that much energy expenditure anyway, and there's just easier ways to do it. And that being said, like even when it comes to tracking your food, I know we talk about this a lot. I know we talk about macros a whole bunch also recently. But here it is, guys. Like that's a tool. And even a step tracker and those kind of things. And you know what? Even just anything that we're tracking here, sleep, heart rate, etc., right? Resting heart rate. Those are all tools that we can use to then address your actions. And never forget that. And I've taken data too far. And I will say that I got too obsessed with the Whoop recovery score. I got too obsessed with that number because it shows you, hey, you're 10%, recovered, and it had like this red, right, percentage thing. Or you're like 100%, but hey, here I was kind of like feeling like shit that day. So I caught myself deciding my mood for the day because I looked at that number. You can literally wake up feeling amazing, or at least I'm going to speak for myself. I would wake up and actually feel great, have good energy, right? Not so sore. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a great workout today. And then I looked at my Whoop thing and it said, like, I don't know, 5%. And that mentally kind of did something to me where I almost assumed, okay, so my workout is going to be shitty. And then other times it told me I was like 99% recovered. And I felt like shit. I was like, well, I am not feeling it today. So I'm trying to warn you here for the numbers, because we even do this with tracking too. You can take it too far. That's why we take breaks. That's why we teach our clients to do both with and without. Hey, when you're bulking, when you're cutting, like we are going to be, and especially in the reverse side, we are going to be tracking. But at maintenance, like we're going to take breaks and we're going to practice taking breaks so that we don't take it too far, so that you don't become dependent on that number. And let me just like tie it back to what I was just saying. You need to use the data only to address your actions and your habits and make those changes. And it's the same thing, and we'll talk about weight the next time. Same thing with body weight. You can look at that scale all you want, but it's not going to do fucking anything, right? It's not going to change. It's the same thing as when I in the past was not good with my money and I would be stressed about opening that app. I didn't want to open the bank app because I knew I fucked up, right? And by the way, like nothing too crazy there, but it's just like I was not good at managing my, my money. So did that, do anything like avoiding me, the avoiding the bank app? Does it change anything if you do check it? Well, only if you then use the data to make changes. And I'm using this money example because you'll understand maybe better, or you relate to it. It's like, hey, I could be looking at that number on my bank app, but nothing is going to change. Or hey, or I could even like avoid that number at all costs, and nothing is going to change. The only thing that is going to help is using the data to then address your actions so that you can actually create change. I say this a lot, but it's like, if you want to see change, you have to change. And the data is not going to do that. It's just an outcome. So remember, not get like too caught up there. Use it again, like absolutely. There's a lot of great trackers out there. I think they're awesome for the most part, at least. Bit of a bummer that Whoop doesn't have the step tracker, and I do really want to try the Aura Ring. But at the end of the day, as long as you do your thing, right? You go to the gym, you lift your weights, you do your cardio, and you track your food. I would say, like, if you track anything, like at least in calories, in terms of calories, like only food, right? But like just focus on that one the most. Then have your steps. That's also a very big one. And then sleep. Those are the three that we track with all of our clients, right? Protein, carbs, fats, calories, fiber, by the way, too. And then steps and sleep. Those are the biggest ones. And then, of course, we look at like, workouts and all that, but never calories burned. So let's wrap it up. If you learned something new today, or if you just liked the episode, or maybe you like previous episodes and you haven't dropped us a quick rating yet, do us a huge favor. Quick 5-star helps us grow the show, helps us help more people. That being said, I will chat to you very soon. Next time, we are going to talk about weight fluctuations, why a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pound fluctuation is completely normal, and how you can use the data better without stressing about that, right? Because also there, the scale doesn't have to decide your mood for the day. So we'll talk about that soon. See you.